Hello and welcome back to the building of the SE5A flare kit. Okay, so in the final straights now, I've started to cover the final wing, the lower wing, undersurface with Solartex, which unfortunately is a material that's no longer available. As the name implies, it has a texture to it. It's an iron-on film. In this case, this is antique linen, and it has a matte finish, semi-transparent, as you can see. Unfortunately, in the process of building this, I thought I had enough covering, and to my horror, I discovered that I'd run out of the material. So I put an alarm call out to the modelling fraternity, asking if anybody had any stashed away, and a good modelling buddy from down south, Ian, managed to source some, and he generously sent it up, and I'm in the final straights now with only the underside of the aileron to cover before I move up to the upper surface. This centre section will be in the dark olive green to match the fuselage. Just a little word about how I apply this. I use a travel iron. Now, I had intended on purchasing a purpose-built iron to do the job, but I've become so used to this little implement that until it breaks, I'll probably stick with it. I'm used to handling it now. I don't have any fancy temperature gauges to know exactly what temperature to use, but I tend to test a piece first before I move on to using the actual covering. So that's what I apply it with, and I also use metal rulers. Now, I'll explain how in a second, but one finds when you're doing covering that you get some awkward places that need to be covered, and you can't fit the iron in, even I would believe if it was a purpose-built iron. And for that purpose, I use a steel rule. And what I do is, this is actually off at the moment, but I flick it over, place the metal ruler onto it, and I keep my finger at the edge of the area in contact with the iron, and I find that once I can start to feel heat hitting to my finger, and it starts to become a little bit on the edge of being uncomfortable, that's ideal for using the rule to get into those awkward places, for example, down between ailerons, to actually cover them, or into awkward places. Now, I do it this way because I like to make sure that the hinges are really secure. So I pre-cover the hinge area first, but that does mean to get the iron in, sometimes it's awkward. I find that little wheeze works really well. You'll notice that I have here, this will be cut out, and there are going to be two separate servos driving the ailerons. Now, there are two reasons for that. The original design calls for one, a servo driving through belt cranks, and I'm always a little bit concerned that that can lead to a sloppy connection. But the main reason I want to go this route is it will allow differential throw to be programmed in on the ailerons, and I believe that the SE5 may need that from what I've read on the forums. So it's going on beautifully. Thanks once again to Ian for saving the project. When it comes to actually stretching the covering, I just use the iron. I just apply the iron. I don't use a heat gun. I've never found the need with this particular covering to go to the measures of using a heat gun. I use a paint stripper on the lowest setting of heat if I have to, but I've never ever had to use it with Solartex. It's such a shame that it's no longer available. I do believe that Solartex might be an alternative, although I've never been forced to go down there. I've been lucky enough to have a stash of Solartex, and I've been able to buy up any that I've found on the internet. So the project's coming on. We're in the final straights now. The next stage will be rigging everything up, putting in the struts between the wings and final bits and pieces of detail to the fuselage. So thanks for watching. I hope you have a good flying session ahead of you. If not, get stuck into some building, everyone. Bye now.